Last year was one of the hardest years of my life, and I've got to say, I am glad to see it go. I know it's not like anything really changes just because the calendar does. We're still the same little specks clutching to a rock and hurtling through space. But you know what? I think making another trip around the sun sounds like as good a place as any to start writing a new chapter in your life. And with this new year, I feel it's time to start a new phase for this channel. If you've been here for a while, you already know that phases don't really have that much rhyme or reason to them. They just represent a change in my life or in how I approach making videos. But this time is going to be a little different. When I started this channel 9 years ago, I never could have predicted all of the amazing things that ended up happening. Seeing the channel grow the way that it did, seeing my work shared by heroes of mine, and actually making some money for doing something that I loved. It was a dream come true, but I never predicted just how tenuous it would all be and how quickly it would all fall apart. If you want to hear that story in greater detail, I already made a video about everything up until the hiatus, so I won't retread old ground here, but the short version is that things got rough, leading to this long break, but that I had big plans when coming back to YouTube. But I think the problem was that I was always stuck in this same mentality. Even though I had dropped the name Film Radar and started using my own name, I was still trying to fit that Film Radar persona. I was the video essay guy. That's why people subscribed. And if I changed anything, people would obviously just stop watching. When YouTube was my main source of income, that was not an option. But I think I held on to that idea for a long time, even well after YouTube stopped paying the bills. And I think I'm finally ready to try just being me. So what does that mean for the channel? To be clear, I'm not stopping making videos. Far from it. I'm not even done making video essays. It just means that they'll likely look a little different in the future. And more importantly, that I won't be making just video essays anymore. There will be more videos like this one where I just talk to you guys, and there will be plenty of other kinds of videos showing the rest of my creative journey, because a lot of exciting things are on the horizon. But before I talk about all of that, I wanted to tell you guys a story. Ever since I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was to make movies and to make music. And I just never had the tools or the money or connections to make any of it happen the way that I wanted to. So I kept busy with the other creative pursuits to fill that void, things that were cheaper, more accessible. And when I got older and needed to start making money, it felt like the best chance I had to break free from entry-level minimum wage was to put these artistic skills to use. So I tried finding jobs writing, doing photography. I even made other videos before making video essays, but starting this YouTube channel was the first and only time that something actually worked. So I poured everything into it, not just the blood, sweat, and tears, but every hope and dream too, because I truly believed this was the only way to make a proper living, let alone to invest in some of my bigger dreams. But the problem was that neither the channel or the freelance jobs were ever consistent. It was feast or famine until it was all just famine. And I juggled making my own videos while going through a revolving door of freelance gigs, just trying to survive. But I didn't know what else to do. Giving up on this path would just mean starting back at square one, making minimum wage again. So to me, the only sensible choice was to keep pushing with the skills I had developed and just hope that either the channel would start doing better or at the least that I'd find better paying freelance. And well, half of those hopes came true. A few months ago, I got a steady part-time job doing some work for my girlfriend's dad, which I'm fully aware is so incredibly lucky to even have as an opportunity. But it is work that I know how to do well, that I've been doing professionally for a long time, so I like to think that it's a mutually beneficial situation. But yeah, there's no denying that I got really lucky in a lot of ways. And frankly, his generosity stretches far beyond just that. I'm living in a place with my girlfriend that is paid for. I've also been given some ridiculously generous gifts that I never could have bought for myself. And not only has it allowed me to stop and breathe for what feels like the first time in 4 years, it's also opened other doors that I tried and failed to open for myself for as long as I can remember. Basically, everything that I had wanted to do since even before starting YouTube was constantly put on hold because I didn't have the time or the money. And it's only now through a little bit of luck and a lot of kindness that I'm finally able to chase some of these lifelong dreams. Which brings me to the exciting things that I mentioned earlier. A few months ago, a filmmaker reached out to me. He was a fan of my videos and wanted to see if I would be interested in editing a short film. So I read the script, we had a long discussion about it all over Zoom, and I decided to jump on board. That's actually what I've been up to lately and why there haven't been any new videos. We are still working on it, so I can't show you guys anything or really talk about too much yet, but I plan on going into a lot more detail as soon as I can. What I will say for now is that it's not just some no-budget student film or something, but an actual production with a halfway decent budget. And there's even an actor in there that I know a lot of you will recognize. But this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. All of these years editing video essays has made me really want to try life on the other side. Not to just discuss movies, but to be a part of making one. And while I'm still a long way from being able to make a short film of my own, this still feels like a huge step for me. I'm really proud of the film and how it's turning out, and I can't wait for you guys to see it and to talk about it because there's a lot that I want to discuss. But really, I'm hoping that this is just the beginning of a career in film, another branch of my creative journey that I want to share with you guys. As it happens, I've also been chasing another lifelong dream for these last few months by starting the process of making my first album. I've written music for a long time. I even recorded a few albums and EPs with a guitar and some crappy Yamaha keyboard that I sold a long time ago. But I always wanted to do it for real, to make a proper full-length album that sounded like a real band and not just me in my bedroom. Things like vocal harmonies or string arrangements, percussion, piano, wind, brass. And while I could never afford all of those instruments or hire all of those musicians, with the right keyboard and software, you don't need to. A MIDI keyboard is an infinite sandbox, and it really was the only missing piece before I was ready to do this. I mean, I've been writing and playing since even before starting YouTube, but I just got sick of feeling so limited all the time. I'm 32 now, and with exception to that crappy keyboard, it's just been me and the guitar since I was 15. So I think it's only natural that at a certain point you want to be able to do more than that. Granted, I never intended it to take this long to get a keyboard, and I certainly never expected to get one as a gift, but making this album has been something I've wanted to do since the very beginning of this channel, and it's only now with this keyboard that I finally can. Now, I want to make it clear it'll be a long time before everything is finished, because I do still have other responsibilities and jobs, not to mention that I still have a lot to learn about music. But I would feel bad talking about all of these new projects and not giving you guys something. Now, keep in mind, all of these are just practice sessions and not real songs. I'm still getting acquainted with the keyboard and all of the digital instruments and the effects, and it's been over a decade since I've really tried recording anything beyond just a phone demo, so there are some cobwebs to dust off. It's a lot of new stuff, so everything is rough and unfinished, and almost certainly will never go anywhere beyond just sharing it here, but I still think it could be fun to show, just as long as you guys manage your expectations. This first one was purely just a fun little tangent. I was playing around with this synth effect and this simple 2-chord change. I ended up listening through a few of the different pre-built drum loops and decided to throw this one on, and then just added in another layer for the synth lead. It sounded like some retro video game music or something, but really it was just an exercise in building a simple loop that could be repeated. Another session started similarly. I was just playing around with another 2-chord change, but this one reminded me of a pogo song, so I just leaned hard into that idea, adding in that classic bouncing pogo bass, throwing in a simple synth up top and a sort of lead bass line and some drums, and ended up with this. These were really just for fun, to blow off some steam. They're nothing like the music that I'm going to be making, but it was just good practice. But I did want to try to get a little closer to what I want the album to sound like and just kind of start trying to build something from scratch with the keyboard. So I started with this string effect that I really liked. Again, you're probably seeing a pattern of a 2-chord change, but I tried to challenge myself to add a little bit more interesting layers this time, to go for something more of a cinematic feeling, and then I added in this other 2-chord change on top that I really like, and I just kind of went from there, adding in some piano, a few other string layers, and I'm quite happy with how this one came out. So I tried doing the same thing again, starting from scratch with piano and building up from there. My playing is obviously quite rough, but I liked these chords a lot, and I always like strings, so I threw some on there. And as I was putting this one together, I really liked the idea of putting in some vocal harmonies, but I wanted to stay focused on the keyboard, so I just made the harmonies with synth to build out this kind of choir effect. And then the main thing for this one was I wanted to try and build something a little bit more than just kind of this back and forth change. I wanted to have a little bit of structure to it, something that got a little bit closer to sounding like a proper song. And while this one is still very rough, I think this is my favorite one yet. The truth is, I'm just getting started. All of that was essentially 2 to 3 months of not even part-time work, and that wasn't even everything. But I've just been busy with a lot of other things, specifically the short film more recently. But since that's wrapping up pretty soon, I'm going to be investing a lot more time into music from here on out, and I'll be sharing a good deal of that journey along the way. I just wanted to update you all on where I've been at these last few months and where things are going from here. This new phase is going to be a lot of uncharted territory for me, but just trying to show more of an accurate picture of me and the things that I'm working on outside of just doing the video essays that I've done. So rest assured, if that is what you're here for, there's always going to be video essays on this channel about movies. I still hope to do a lot more on video games, but I don't want to just be limited to making video essays anymore. And I think for a long time, there was just no escaping that when I depended way too much on YouTube to be my income. But I've kind of given up on YouTube ever really being a reliable source of income. And so I'm just ready to try some new things. And I hope some of you guys are willing to take this journey with me. But hey, if not, I would totally understand. It's going to be unconventional. There's going to be a lot of different types of content all mingling about on this channel. And I know that's not for everybody. That kind of goes against all of the conventional wisdom of YouTube. But I'm done trying to follow any conventional wisdom at this point. I just want to make the stuff that I like. And I can't say exactly what the future holds in store for this channel, but you can count on the fact that as long as I'm alive, I'm going to keep creating things. And as long as YouTube is a platform that still exists, a lot of that is going to end up here. But I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope it wasn't a total waste of your time, but I think that's all that I wanted to say for now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.